Hi everyone, I'm Chris Butler. I work in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at the George Washington University. Thanks for joining us. We're here to talk a little bit about 10 things to know when writing your college essay. The first thing to know is that the Common App essay is your primary vehicle for communicating what's unique about you. So the Common App and the Universal College Application both offer multiple prompts. You may choose a prompt and respond to that, or you may decide to write a personal statement and then choose a prompt that corresponds best with what you've written. Either process is totally fine, and you should choose whichever process honors your most authentic voice. There's two things I like to say about the Common App essay. The first thing is that it should feel like a first date. You're sharing information with someone who's meeting you for the first time. What's exciting about you? What's interesting about you? What do you want to share so that that person understands the whole you, all that's special and wonderful and intelligent and curious? The other thing I like to say to students who are undertaking this for the first time is to de-escalate the anxiety a little bit. You haven't had a lot of practice writing about yourself, and so be gentle with yourself as you start to get better at it. Remember that your essay doesn't have to make you stand out. It simply has to be effective. A lot of times counselors and well-meaning adults in your life will say, remember, you have to make this essay memorable to stand out among all the others. But I like to tell students, it's really important to make sure that your essay is just effective. Tell us why you're a great fit for college and what you're going to do with the benefits of a college education. If it's effective, it will convince the reader that you're a right fit for their institution. But don't worry so much about standing out among all the other college applicants. Just communicate what's best for you. 2, supplemental essays are different from the main essay. I like to call a supplemental essay a second date. The supplemental essay is a little bit more about your relationship with the university to which you're applying. They'll ask you questions about their university. Why did you choose them? What's interesting about them to you? It's a great opportunity for you to convince the reader that there's a real relationship here, that there's a fit between you and what that institution has to offer. There's lots of options in a supplemental essay. Some schools require multiple short answer questions. Some schools only have one essay to choose from. Sometimes they're optional, sometimes they're required. A good pro tip is that if a school tells you that their supplemental essay or essays are optional, but that school is one of your top choices, extend the conversation a little bit. Make sure that you're offering additional information about that fit. Make it a good second date and really convince the reader that you're a great match for them and their institution. Special program essays are also different. These are the essays that require the most homework to uncover and the most homework to respond to. For special program essays, what I'm referring to is scholarship essays or special program essays such as an honors college or a condensed direct admit to medical school program like we have here at GW. These essays require you to do specific research to make sure you understand the program through and through. You understand what the requirements are of the program, what you'll be doing as a member of the program, and why that program will serve your educational ends. These are really important to do homework on the school's website. Make sure you understand the context, the selectivity of these programs. Make sure to understand why, for example, that scholarship was founded, who founded it, and what values is it intending to promote. For the program, what are the requirements of the program? How will being engaged in that program elevate your educational opportunities and allow you to solve problems in the world based on the added value of participating in that program? Remember, don't delay in finding out about these essays. Sometimes they're not always obvious on the Common App member page of the institution. Sometimes they live on the website of the institution. So do your homework and find out from the school's website what kind of special programs they offer, what kind of additional scholarships they may offer, and where those essays live to make sure you don't miss out on any great opportunities. Number 4. Choose the essay prompt that speaks to you. Remember earlier we were talking about how you can either write a personal statement and choose a prompt that resonates most closely with that topic, or choose a prompt first that speaks to you and inspires you to write something important about yourself. Regardless of which way you go, make sure you are answering the prompt correctly and know what information it's soliciting from you. For example, one of the prompts on the Common App asks, when was there a time where you changed someone's mind, or when your mind was changed in conversation? This is not a question that's going to really be looking for the particulars of the disagreement or the conversation. They don't care what political party you affiliate with. They're not entirely invested in what your position is in the argument. What they're trying to find out is if you have a growth mindset, if you have an open mind, if you're willing to learn new things. That's a hallmark of a college student that's going to succeed in college. And make sure you're not getting in the weeds of talking about the actual argument in itself and neglecting to convey that you do in fact have a growth mindset and you're willing to learn new things. If the question is asking you, what piece of music do you love, or what book has changed your life, the importance of the response is a little bit less about the actual work of art that you choose, but much more about why. What did it inspire in you? What did it cause you to think more about? How did experiencing that piece of music or that book elevate your curiosity about the world, or inspire you to want to change something about the world? Remember what the prompt is asking before you attempt to finish your essay. Number 5, write what you want to write. This is a really, really important point if you want to convey a sense of authenticity to your reader. A lot of times students develop a sense of paralysis about writing because they try to get in the head of their reader and guess what their reader wants them to say. And this is a mistake. It sometimes results in very surface level essays that don't really get to the heart of you. It sometimes puts you on a ledge of talking about things you don't know very much about. Make sure that what you're writing about, you know about, something you feel strongly about. It can be something that's not entirely safe, but that's okay. It needs to be something that's genuinely important to you. And this is another reason why procrastinating on your essay is never a good idea. I always recommend to students that I'm coaching on their essays to write a version first and sleep on it, because that's a really good way to see if the voice that you're using in your essay is truly your own. If you wake up the next day, read over the essay and feel, maybe it feels artificial, maybe those words aren't really my own, maybe I'm actually trying to be someone I'm not in this essay, it affords you some extra time to deconstruct that essay and put a little bit more of yourself into it. One of the tips I give to students who are working on writing their essay is to put next to their legal pad or their laptop or whatever they're using to write an index card listing no more than 3 things that they would like their reader to know about them. Those 3 things should guide all the writing that you're doing to make sure that the end result conveys exactly what you want your reader to know about you. Remember the first date principle. We want that Common App essay to share exactly what you want to express to a college admissions officer about why you're a great candidate and what you're going to do with your college education. So keep that index card handy and make sure that you're referencing it to make sure that what you're writing isn't straying too far afield from those points that you want to convey about yourself. Another way to get out of a writing rut or writer's block is to use creativity prompts. My favorite is, what would you do with an extra day in every week? That's a great prompt because it tends to highlight your value system. What do you value most? Most high schoolers' first response is sleep more, which I get. But what would you do when you were well rested? Would you teach yourself to cook? Would you learn a new language? Would you work out more? Using that prompt to talk about what you might do with extra time is a great way to reveal to yourself what's important about you and what you would do with some extra time. Another great prompt is the traditional dinner party prompt. If you could curate a dinner party full of celebrities or historical figures, living or dead, how would you do that? What would the guest list be? What would you serve? What would you talk about? That's a great prompt to think about what makes you excited. Are you excited about American history? Are you excited about pop culture? Imagining this fictional dinner party actually can evoke some really fun ideas about what to write about. So don't worry about getting right to the essay assignment if you need to practice a little bit of really delving into what it is you want to talk about. Number 6, give yourself plenty of time to write your essays. We talked a little bit about how procrastination is your enemy in this process, both from an editorial perspective, right, when you want to sleep on your various versions and make sure that the voice that you're writing in is authentic, and the goals that you have for yourself are being explicitly represented in your essay. But also, I want to make sure that all of you that are writing and exploring things that are important to you are navigating those shoals in a safe way. Sometimes students feel that they have to write about something painful to prove that they have the resilience to overcome an obstacle or a painful trauma in their history. No admissions officer in the world wants you to re-traumatize yourself to talk about a topic that is painful to you. You do not need to harness your pain in order to generate a good essay. And that's why I say take plenty of time to think about your topic. You don't have to write about painful topics. You don't have to write about things that are upsetting to you to prove that you have the resilience to succeed. This is why it's important to take plenty of time to think about what you want us to know about you and how to say it. Point number 7. Now, this is a practical point. Do not write the essay in the Common App itself for a couple of reasons. A lot of students, especially the procrastinators, will write the essay directly in the text box of the Common App and inadvertently submit a first draft before they get a chance to review it. The mechanics of the Common App submission do not allow you to take that back. So what we want to do is make sure you're writing that essay on a Word document or a legal pad or a Google Doc to make sure you have ample opportunity to get comments on it from others and to edit it in just the right way you want. Also, remember that white space in an essay is a really good friend of yours. You don't want to compose in the Common App itself and not have a good visual sense of how you are pacing your paragraphs, how the essay flows, and whether it's comfortable to the eye to read. Make sure that as you're crafting your essay in your Google Doc, in your Word document, that you are creating enough white space so that the reader can take a beat between ideas and process that more effectively. Carefully edit your essays. Now, this goes without saying that when you're writing your essay on a Google Doc or in a Word document, you will have some tools at your disposal to make sure that you're using proper grammar, to make sure that you're spelling correctly. You will have spell check and grammar check at your disposal. But it's really important to get other eyes on your essay. Make sure you have a teacher look at it. Make sure you have a peer look at it. We want to make sure that the people who know you are giving feedback about whether or not that essay is truly communicating the best features of you, or whether or not you may have to go to the drawing board or tailor something a little bit more to make sure that it's conveying what you want it to convey. So editing takes a lot of different phases, right? It's not just about spell check or grammar check. It's also about white space. It's also about, does this paragraph flow properly to this paragraph? One of the important things to remember is your audience when you're editing. You are writing an essay for a reader who is very interested in knowing about you, but also doesn't have 2 hours to read and reread your essay and parse out what it is you want to say. That essay has to be effective. It has to read fluidly and comfortably for your reader, and that's why it's important to do multiple drafts before finally submitting your essay. Number 9, be yourself. Now, we talked a lot about authenticity and how important that is, but truly, it can be tough to write in an authentic voice. So how do we do that? What are some tricks? You can write your first draft as a conversation to your reader. And in fact, when your reader reads your essay, we very often think about it as a conversation between us and the applicant. Use casual language. Use the language that you feel comfortable sharing these very important things about yourself. If you want to go and edit it to more formal language later, you will have that option to do. But loosen your creative muscles a little bit by writing it in a conversational style. Another tip about what's uniquely you is that what's unique about you is not necessarily the one thing that you're most passionate about, but potentially where your interests intersect. I've read essays about students who are very committed to playing football, right? And there's lots of essays written by football players about their experience with football. But what's really unique about this football player could come out as they talk about their love of football and their love of the scientific method. They can talk about how they love to play, but maybe apply those principles of trial and error to figuring out the best play in a game. So I think the uniqueness of you comes out when you not just choose one aspect of your life to write about, but explore the intersection of your interests and what is teased out when you look at yourself as a multifaceted person. Also, in being yourself, make sure you're using language that is simple. Don't overuse phrases that you hear people using all the time because you think it simply fits the topic. One example is getting out of your comfort zone. I think probably 2/3 of the essays I read last year used that phrase at least once. Be daring. And you don't have to use $10 words to be daring. You could say, this scared me a whole lot, but I did it anyway. That's more authentic. It's a little bit less tropey, and it cultivates a little bit more of an emotional connection between the writer and the reader. So don't feel like you have to use $10 words or expressions that you feel are a little more rarefied. Use real, emotional, vulnerable language, and it will resonate with your reader a lot better. Number 10, and this is a point I get a lot of questions about. Feel free to be honest, to be funny, to be emotional, to be vulnerable. These are things that the reader loves to read about. We love a funny essay. We love an essay that makes us tear up a little bit. The key to doing this effectively is making sure, especially if you're going to be funny or use your very unique sense of humor, that you get readers to read over your essay from lots of different generations. Get a grandparent to read it. Get your little sibling to read it. Get your teacher to read it. And get your best friend to read it and say, is this really funny? Part of the reason that you would do that is because your application readers are going to be from multiple different generations. You want to make sure that your humor lands well, that it doesn't have a dark side, that it's not tone deaf or off color, and that it really conveys something truly humorous and warm and engaging about you. We want this essay to share what's best about you, and we want you to position yourself in the best way you can. I hope these 10 tips are helpful. There's wonderful resources on the internet for you to explore creativity practice prompts, to get tips on how to find your authentic voice. But one of the most important things is to give yourself a little bit of time and really enjoy the process. Those are our 10 tips for today. We wish you all the very best of luck. We want you to have fun and enjoy getting to know yourself a little bit through this process. If you have questions at all, please contact us at GW Undergraduate Admissions at the contact information you see on the slide. Good luck, and we can't wait to read your essays.